30th of October, and I am reading The Comedians, a novel by Greene, published in 1966. It largely plays in Haiti. The three comedians are Mr. Smith, who was once a presidential candidate, Mr. Jones, who calls himself Major Jones, and Mr. Brown, who tells this story. Haiti is very corrupt, and Mr. Brown has a lover, Martha. She's the wife of the ambassador. Anyway, we're now already in the third part of this book, chapter 2, Roman 5. A few days later I received a letter from Mr. Smith. It had taken more than a week to come from Santo Domingo. They had stopped off, he wrote to me, for a few days to look around and see the tomb of Columbus. And who did I think they had met? I could answer that without even turning the page. Mr. Fernandez, of course. He happened to be at the airport when they arrived. I wondered whether his profession made him stand by an airfield like an ambulance. Mr. Fernandez had shown them so much, so interestingly, that they had decided to stay on longer. Apparently, Mr. Fernandez's vocabulary had increased. In the Medea, he had been suffering from a great grief, and that was the reason he had broken down at the concert. His mother had been seriously ill, but she had recovered. The cancer had fibrom. The cancer had proved to be no more than a fibrom, and Mrs. Smith had converted her to a vegetarian diet. Mr. Fernandez, even though that there were possibilities for a vegetarian center in the Dominican, Mr. Fernandez even thought that there were possibilities for a vegetarian center in the Dominican Republic. I must admit, he wrote, that conditions here are more peaceful, although there is a great deal of poverty. Mrs. Smith has met a friend from Wisconsin. He sent his cordial best wishes to Major Jones and thanked me for all my help and hospitality. He was an old man with beautiful manners, and suddenly I realized how much I missed him. In the school chapel at Monte Carlo, we prayed every Sunday, Dona nobis pacem, but I doubt whether that prayer was answered for many in the life that followed. Mr. Smith had no need to pray for peace. He had been born with peace in his heart instead of the splinter of ice. That afternoon, Hamid's body was found in an open sewer on the edge of Port-au-Prince. I drove out to Mère Catherine. Why not, if Martha was at home with Jones? But none of the girls had ventured out that evening from their homes. The story of Hamid was probably circulating by this time all over town, and they feared that one body was not sufficient to make a feast day for Baron Samedi. Madame Philippot and her child had joined the other refugees at the Venezuelan embassy, and there was a feeling of uncertainty everywhere. I noticed driving by that 2 guards were now outside Martha's embassy. I was stopped at the roadblock below the hotel and searched, although the rain had begun. I wondered whether some of the activity was due to Concasseur's return. He had to prove himself loyal. At the Trianon, I found Dr. Maggiot's boy waiting with a note, an invitation to dine with him. I was already past the hour of dinner, and we drove accompanied by Thunder to his house. This time we were not stopped. The rain was falling too heavily now, and the militiaman crouched in his shelter of old sacks. The Norfolk pine dripped beside the drive like a broken umbrella, and Dr. Maggiot waited for me in his Victorian sitting room with a decanter of port. Have you heard about Hammett? I asked. The two glasses stood on little mats with floral designs to protect the papier-mâché table. Yes, poor man. What had they got against him? He was one of Philippot's post boxes, and he didn't talk. And you are another? He poured out the port. I had never learned to enjoy port as an aperitif, but I took it that night without protest. I was in the mood for any drink. He didn't answer my question, so I asked him another. How do you know he didn't talk? He gave me the obvious answer. I am here. The old woman called Madame Ferry, who looked after the house and cooked his meals, opened the door and reminded us that dinner was ready. She wore a black dress and had a white cap on her head. It might seem an odd setting for a Marxist, but I remembered hearing of the lace curtains and the china cabinets in the early illusion jets. Like her, they gave a sense of security. We had an excellent steak and creamed potatoes with a touch of garlic and as good a claret as could be expected, so far away from Bordeaux. Dr. Maggiot was not in a humour to talk, but his silence was as monumental as his conversation. When he said, "Another glass," the phrase was like a simple name carved on a tombstone. When dinner was finished, he said, "The American ambassador is returning." "Are you sure?" "And friendly discussions are to be opened with the Dominican Republic. We are abandoned again." The old lady came in with coffee, and he was silent. His face was hidden from me by the glass dome which covered an arrangement of wax flowers. I felt that after dinner we should have joined other members of the Browning Society for discussion of the sonnets from the Portuguese. Hammett lay in his drain a very long way from here. "I have some curacao, or there is a little Benedictine left, if you prefer it." "Curacao, please." "The curacao, Madame Ferry," and again silence settled except for the thunder outside. I wonder why he had summoned me. And at last, when Madame Ferry had come and gone, I heard, "I've received a reply from Philippot." A good thing it came to you and not to Hammett. He says he will be at the rendezvous for 3 nights running next week, beginning on Monday. The cemetery? Yes. Yes, on those nights there should be hardly any moon. But suppose there's no storm either. Have you ever known 3 nights without a storm in this time of year? No, but my pass is for 1 day only, Monday. A detail few policemen can read. You have Jones and drive on. If something goes wrong and you are suspected, I'll try and warn you at okays. You might possibly get away by fishing boat. I hope to God nothing goes wrong. I have no wish to be on the run. My life's here. You will have to get beyond Petit Coif before the storm is over, or they'll search your car there. After Petit Gove, there should be no troubles before Aquin, and you'll be alone again when you reach Aquin. I wish to God I had a jeep. So do I. What about the guards at the embassy? Don't bother about them. During the storm they will take rum in the kitchen. We must warn Jones to be ready. I have an idea he may back out. Dr. Maggiot said, "I don't want you to visit the embassy between now and the night you leave. I shall go there tomorrow to treat Jones. Mumps is a dangerous disease at his age. It may cause sterility or even impotence. The incubation period after the child's attack might seem curiously long to a doctor, but the servants won't realize that. He will have to be isolated and kept very quiet. You should be back from OK a long time before anyone knows he's gone. And you, doctor? I treated him for as long as was necessary. That period is your alibi, and my car will not leave Port-au-Prince. That is mine. I only hope he's worth all the trouble we are taking. Oh, I assure you, so do I, so do I. So this was the end, and the chapter 3 is the next one. I had a little bit of interruption on the internet again.